So miraculously, we were able to win our Champions League group at the first time of asking, which I'm taking as a huge achievement. Unfortunately, the league form did suffer a tiny little bit in the fact that we finally dropped some damn points, and as a result of that, the title race is very much back on. We've got a lot of things to juggle over the winter period with those things coming up, particularly as we have to play Barcelona in February. Nice and easy, right? But remember, we do have a relatively large transfer budget of around £4 million to maybe just find those little players to put the icing on the cake, and hopefully today we're going to do that. As always, if you have been enjoying the series, drop a like on the video. Massively appreciate that. I really, really do. Thanks in advance. And also, just a quick plug for the Football Manager Therapy podcast. I was on it this week. I've put a link in the description to that, to various ways you can listen to it. You know, YouTube, Spotify, all that jazz. I think it was a really fun episode. A lot more sort of laid back than the last podcast I went on, but really, really enjoyable. So do check that out. Links are available in the description. So it's still before Christmas. We do technically have a cup game, which we'll blaze through in a second. Now, the reason I wanted to show you this is because we've actually got an opportunity to sell this clause on Oscar Perez for nearly £1 million, which is kind of mad because it's a 30% of profit clause. And they're willing to give us nearly £1 million for it. And that would take our transfer budget to nearly £5 million for this period. And I think that's exactly what I'm going to do. Get this one sorted, get some scouting preliminary stuff done, perhaps, and then just sort of see what amazing talent we can dig up over the next couple of months, whether it be during this period or whether it be slightly afterwards. I still think there's a chance we might be able to find some absolute balling players. And, well, that's my hope. That being said, still happy with the squad. I think we've got a really good chance. Admittedly, against Barcelona, we have very little chance, but it's that FC Copenhagen battle for the rest of the season that is really going to be taking up most of my focus. We have to convert this, although statistically we are still the very best side in the league. In fact, they're the third best side, which is kind of mad. So I'm gonna sell this clause and then we're gonna get cracking. So interesting development. I was just looking through the under-19 national team squads. Again, video coming out later this week on the proper depths of how to do that. But I noticed that the Nigerian national, I think it was Nigeria. Yes, this often happens with Nigeria, by the way, for some reason. There was 5 guys in their under-19 national team squad that didn't have clubs. And as far as I can tell, none of them have ever had clubs. And what happens sometimes is FM will produce players to fill slots in national teams when there isn't enough players from clubs. And sometimes those guys can be really good because they have to be a certain level to get in those national teams. So you might look at Joseph Johnson here and think, okay, he's not great. Yeah, what about Sane though? 5-star potential. Emeka, maybe not. Akori, pretty decent. Bala, 5-star potential. What is this madness? They're on trial, obviously, because they're free. So I'm going to probably keep these guys around and have a little look, see if they're actually any good or not. Probably not fantastic players, but for free transfers, it's absolute no-brainer to pick some of these guys up, to be honest, once we've got them a bit more trialed. But yeah, see what down here? No clubs at all for these guys. Keep an eye on that sort of stuff because you can pick up some real bargains this way. So we may well have a couple of these lads joining us, I suspect. And even better news, the board have just given us 2 more scouts. Well, I asked them and they actually agreed to help us get through this recruitment stuff even faster. And you know, with this method, the more scouts, the better. So this should be awesome. Well, incredibly, we actually did get our revenge over FC Copenhagen in the Cup. I wish we'd done this in the league. I really do not care one iota about the Cup, but there you go. We were 2-0 down in the first half here and actually managed to come back. Carlson got a lucky headed goal before Chibolitsa got the equaliser for us in the 89th minute. Carlson scored a lovely one in extra time to give us the victory over FC Copenhagen. The problem is that now we've got extra cup games and now they don't. I wasn't really expecting this when we were 2-0 down. They just started randomly playing really well in the second half and fought their way back. I guess for pride reasons, it's good. And it yet again does show that we can go head-to-head with FCK. And I really think that it was just a bit of bad fortune in that other game. So I do think that we're definitely on their level now, if not exceeding them at times this season. And that's actually the main factor, because it gives me hope that in the 2 matches we'll play later in the championship group, we should be able to hopefully get the better of them over those 2 games. And it might be enough to potentially win us a title. A couple of things. Khaled just won Danish Manager of the Year, but it's the fact that he won it with a 76% win ratio. That's kind of insanely high. So fair play. And perhaps even better news, and this is genuinely astonishing, Bostian Canelec just won European Golden Boy. I mean, I think that really does show the quality of a player that we have in Bostian Canelec, that he's actually capable of winning an award like that is for the entirety of Europe. 9 goals and 7 assists in 37 matches was enough to win in that. I think there's a real talent here. I mean, we've already been seeing it this season, but this sort of suggests to me that there was a really, really strong guy here. And Turnerson, incredibly, has made the Danish Team of the Year as well. When you look at some of the clubs that some of the other players in this team are playing for. Okay, worrying development. Terry Cloty, we're having bids on him again. We didn't have any in the summer, and nobody really bothered in January last year, but they're back. It's Dortmund and Djurgården are in, and those bids are dangerously close to his release clause of £17 million. I'm a little bit worried here. So we just got this news article as well. Man City chasing Closey deal. 17 million. I think it's 17.5 million. I think his clause is. Nah, it's not. It's dead on 17 million. I think if they trigger that, well, we've got no chance. We can't really do much about it. There's nothing we could do. I mean, you can talk to the guy, but I've never seen that actually work. I've never seen a player turn down a release clause triggered a contract before. I know it can happen, but it's never happened on one of my saves. The only thing I could say is if they came in with a bid that was just shy of it, I could maybe accept it with a 50% of next sale fee to try to really mug them off. But I think they'll just go straight for the 17 million, unfortunately. There it is. Man City make Cloty offer. Is it the release clause? It's not the release clause. Interesting. If Djurgården are willing to put £15 million down on the table for Terry Cloty, there is no way in a million years, if I turn this down, City are not going to come back and trigger the release clause for 17 million. They're offering me 13 here. If I said to them 17 and they take the release, they will trigger it. There is absolutely no way they don't come back and trigger this clause. I think we have to be very clever here and try to get them something close to the clause, but with a 50% of next sale fee clause to try and make us more money on the back end than the 17. This is going to take some whittling. Now, what can happen is sometimes they can go, no, that's not worth it, and then just offer us the clause. So we have to be careful, but I'm going to try to get them on 15, a 50% of next sale. So it's not so close that they automatically trigger it. That's what I want, though. 15 with a 50%. Get rid of the friendly, don't care about that. I don't want to lose Terry Cloty, obviously, but we have literally no way around this at this point. I can persuade him to stay. Let's see if I can persuade him to stay. Okay, I've just asked Terry Cloty if he's willing to stay till the end of the season. But the problem is, I don't think that will matter if they trigger the release clause. I think that only counts because the bid is not the release clause. I think that if they trigger it, he'll still go. Right, this is my bid on the table for them. 11.5 up front, 3.4 million over the next one to take it to 15 million, and a 50% clause. If they go for this, it will earn us more money than if we just sold him for the clause outright. I just want to see that sometimes they'll just counter with the clause, and that's the key. Got to be careful. Wait, what? Okay, so weirdly, they've gone for it, but they've put the friendly back in again? But they've also gone back down to what they originally wanted, which was 13 million. Honestly, I still think that's better. They're still going to trigger the clause. And I think if we get the 50% of next sale fee clause, and when he joins Man City, he'll be worth like 50 million pounds. That clause right there will probably be worth 20 million quid to this club. So in the end, I think it will end up doubling our money than what we would have done if we'd had to sell him through the release clause. It's not ideal. Obviously, we don't want to lose Terry. But I think if this is the best case scenario as far as the financial side of things, and I think that's the only way we can really work this, because I think his value would shoot to the moon if that was the case. So I mean, maybe he'll turn the contract down, but imagine. It's just not going to happen, is it really? So there's this guy here, Kurt Hulset. He plays for Sogndal in Norway, but he's an 18-year-old wingback. He looks to have decent potential. He's got great tackling. His going forward attributes could be good. He'd have to be retrained, of course, for the right side. But I think for this kind of price, if we can get him for 300 grand, I definitely want to pick up someone like this. I've offered him a pretty decent deal on the front end. It's a long-term deal as well, which is good. I think this is how we get these guys over the line, because one of the issues we were having before is that I was trying to offer those deals that are great down the line, but they weren't great now. And I've actually bumped his base wage up a little bit too, even though we've obviously got this clause in there, because I do want to get this guy over the line and quickly, because I feel like no matter what, he's surely going to be a better player than 300 grand is worth. As sad as it is to say, today is the day that we say goodbye to Terry Cloty. I don't think there was much more we could do about it. I did try to offer him a new contract, but as usual, once they've got the wanted symbol on them, it's basically not possible. Because it was so close to the previous contract before that, we couldn't offer him another one on top of that yet. So, yeah, it's a real shame to lose someone of the quality of Terry Cloty. He is an astonishingly good player, and I've really enjoyed his time at the club, and he's been part of the reason for our success up to this point. The only thing I can hope is that with the money we'll get from this deal, firstly the upfront money, and then hopefully the money we'll be able to get on the back end, not because he'll move from Man City, but because they'll buy that clause off of us. We'll see how much for. It won't be straight away, but we'll be able to get an idea of how much it might be once we let him move. That might be enough for us to build a squad that's capable of winning the league. It might be a bit like the Indistad sell, like Caron was earlier for us to get to this point, and I feel like the Terry Cloty money, we won't be able to replace him. It's just not happening. He won't be replaceable, but we can at least find someone solid in there that will hopefully allow us over the next, well, hopefully this season, you never know, to even in this window, do enough to maybe go out there and grab ourselves a title this season. And that's, I guess, a risk we're going to have to take. But let's see how much he's worth at City. Weirdly, that's actually not as much as I was expecting at Manchester City. I love how his potential and current ability jumps up the moment he leaves the club. It's as if like you didn't just see him yesterday. I still suspect, I mean, he's on 75 grand a week. I can hardly blame him at that point. I think that with that clause, we'd still be able to get another 8-9 million, maybe even more than that if his value shoots up while he's at Manchester City off that deal too, which will take it to more than his release clause originally was in the first place. So I feel like that was still the best course of action for us because we weren't going to keep him. It was either lose him for 17 million or we take that deal and then expect some more money in the back end of the deal, which I suspect we will still get. They won't buy it straight away, but I think they will definitely buy that clause off of us. Hopefully his value shoots up a little bit more. I'm actually surprised that it's as low as it is, to be honest. But on the other hand, we now have 14 million pounds in transfer budget and a shitload of wage budget to go with it. So if we can find some players here around, and I am still looking obviously for the 18 and under guys, then we can hopefully sign someone like that. But we do still have a spot available for someone who's over 18 as well, like a non-EU or non-homegrown player. There is one spot available still. Steenberg Hansen's occupying it at the moment because reasons, but I feel like if we find someone outrageous, we could bring them in. There is this chap though, 22-year-old Bjarne Stensland of Kristiansund. Okay looking attributes, honestly. Left foot, solid-ish here. Not amazingly fast, but not awful either. Can actually tackle, can do a bit of defending as well, and he would be cheap. I'll trigger it for 375 grand. I think we just kind of have to take a punt here. After this, I'm going to go straight after just any young 18 and under looking signings that could be really high potential, because I think that's where we just still got to keep focusing in order to keep this squad developing. But hopefully we can find the next Terry in that, because they just won't be there now. Terry wasn't this good to start with. He improved to that. But I think if we just have someone like Bjarni Stensland just in the meantime, and then we'll have Catalano as well, it's certainly nothing spectacular, but I think it's what we had to do in this situation. Okay, so our two Nigerian friends have just, well, the Nigerian lads have left us now, and I'm thinking about picking up two of them. One of them being Bala here, just because of this, and I feel like he will, who's he wanted by? Yeah. Particularly, I want to steal him out from the nose of HJK for a start. Okay, we have to offer him that because that's the minimum amount anyway. I think about doing the same thing with a Corey, even though he's not actually, we wouldn't be able to use him in this system as a wide player, but he does have good enough tackling that the marking and also positioning and teamwork are good too, to the point where I think as a wing back, he could be okay. I think value-wise, these two will surely just earn us money because I think they will still be worth something when they join us. Gert Hull sits in. I mean, he's not fantastic by any means. I'm going to obviously start getting him to train here. He's not really, I mean, he could play centre-back, but he just doesn't really have the pure defensive attributes for it, and he's actually not bad going forward. Wide centre-back, though, actually. He could be okay. Potentially with that crossing and dribbling. Lack of composure isn't ideal. But the more I look at him, the more I think maybe he's a wide centre-back rather than a wing-back, because the crossing is quite helpful, but he's not the quickest. He's got good acceleration, but I wonder if maybe he's a wide centre-back, because we do play them. That would maybe be better for him. Okay, we got Bjarni Stensland in as well. He's not... Just ignoring this for a second, I think attribute-wise, he's actually not bad. He may not be the quickest by any means, and he's not going to have that athleticism that Terry Cloty had. He is a better defensive player than Terry, that is for sure. And he can cross and dribble to an okay level, nothing to the same level. But I think at least he's a player that can come in and at least get in that team there. So I found this guy, Richard Velez, Ecuadorian, central midfielder, more of a wing-backy type of player. No crossing ability whatsoever, really, but he's cheap. He'd be available for less than £100,000. Seems to have reasonable potential. I think these are the kind of signs we just have to sort of be firing off here and there, really. It's not really what I want right now, but he is a player. 125 grand. It's actually a bit more than I was expecting, but still, it's worth it for what we're getting, I would say. I can see him getting caps, so we do have to be a little bit careful, but I just want to get that 5-year deal done. Okay, found another dude, Bruno Kvezic of Osijek over in Croatia. £3.2 million release clause. It's quite a lot, I realise, but I think there's enough here that would still make him a worthwhile signing as well, particularly as he can play in the middle, but also as an advanced playmaker further up with decent passing, good vision, great technique to go with it. Decent dribbling on him too. Composure looks solid. Very brave to go with it. And I think we just have to be snapping up players like this at the time because we've only got a couple of days left of the window. I want to bring in a couple of guys like this and then try desperately. I'm going to go trawling. These are guys coming through my scout reports, but I'm going to have to go over and look manually over the next couple of days to try and just find a couple more bodies to bring in. But it's not looking great for us. So I'm just looking through our scouted players list, just to anybody we've kind of got some knowledge of right now to see if there's anyone useful. Obviously, this guy at Leon here would be very good, but the price money is outrageous. And he's decent, but, you know, the price would be absurd. However, there is a couple more guys that are interesting to me, like Mosquera here. Again, it's another attacking mid, but you would be available, again, very cheap, looks to have high potential, nice and quick as well, actually. And I would just sign these guys because bodies and also profit future, I guess. But there's also this guy, Moketse Mafosho, who is a centre-back from South Africa. Again, 18 years old, good natural fitness, good natural, well, good, hopefully decent jumping reach too. He's not super slow. In fact, he's very quick. Great heading. Marking looks solid. Tackling looks decent. Positioning is average, I suppose. Teamwork, determination. I think he would be a good signing as well. I'm going to try and pick up a load of these now. There's also a left wing back in Przemysław Wodorek of Lech Poznan too, who looks to have very good mentals for his age. He doesn't look amazingly quick, but he looks like he would be okay defensively and would probably be quite cheap as well, as a wing back on the left as well. So I think my play is to go after this big chunk of guys, try to get them all through by the end of the window and just hope that it's not going to fill the hole that Terry Cloty left, particularly as a lot of them aren't even in those positions. But I feel like there'll still be good value in the picks there, and I think we're just going to have to go for it for the moment. So let's try and get these deals done. So Mosquera, it's 400 grand with an 86 after 50 league games. That's fine for me. That's kind of chump change. We've got 11 million. Accidentally clicked off of it. Mafoso is 125 grand. Our Polish friend there is 900, but I still think he's an alright player, and I think I really like the mental attributes on him. If we get all four of these guys over the line by the end of the window, I don't think it's going to improve us a great deal at the moment, but at the very least, I think this squad is going to be absolutely stacked for the future with the kind of talent we're bringing in, and I think that's just how you have to manage these things. As much as I would like to go out there and buy an established left wing back that's sort of Terry Cloty level, we can't afford them, and I don't really want to drop the same kind of money that we've just lost on him on a new guy, because that's sort of be a waste of our transfer strategy right now. It's just one of those things you have to accept when you're a smaller side. There's also this guy, Jorge Contreras of Lanús in Argentina. The thing is, I think he'd cost too much money. I mean, it says 750. That's 10 times the amount. And what's the betting? It's the very high end. If he's anything above 3 million, I think that's too much. Oh, 3.4 million, though. That's actually not as bad as I was expecting. And it does have league appearances. I mean, okay, that's another 300 grand there. And after 10 international games, he's Argentinian. There's also this chap here, Malte Budskov. of AGF. 16 years old, Danish central midfielder. I'm liking what I'm seeing. The finishing and composure aren't spectacular, but I think if we can get him that cheap, could be quite a good deal. Even for 100 grand. There's also this guy, Ivan Duris. I didn't even see this guy. Why did I not pay? I didn't actually look at his profile, is my point. Holy God, he's already under a bid though, and I don't see him joining us, but we have to try. I've slapped down this bid. Just from what I can see, he looks excellent. This is a hell of a risk. We're literally going to bring in like an entire new squad of players at this rate, but they're all going to be 18 and under. If we get even a few of these guys, I really like him. Holy shit. So, like, this is the thing. When I look at this guy in a scout report, I don't always click on every single profile of the player. So I just look at that, and I'll look at that and go, okay, cool, we'll send him around for more scouting. Sometimes, though, it does pay to actually look at their profiles sometimes. Holy God, if we got this guy. Look at the list of players. Right, well, I'm going to work through these. Back in a sec, friends. Kvezic on 3.6k on a 5-year deal. Mosquera, 1.8k on a 5-year deal. Mafoso on £900 for a 4-year deal with a 3-year extension. Vodorek for 5 years on a 1.3. Contreras, 1.5, 5 years, 3-year extension. Birdskov, 1.3. Sorry, 1.1 for 3 years with a 3-year extension. Juris, 5.5 on a 4-year. This is to try to swave off the Milan interest. Like, I'm worried that he's going to move to Milan anyway, but we will see. It's worth a try. So boom, first things first, Richard Velez, that right wing back guy I was looking at, has joined us. I mean, his value's still higher than that. He's a young player with decent enough potential, I would say. He's not spectacular, but you have to take a punt on some of these guys. I think he only cost us like 100 grand anyway, so that's okay. That's more like it. Bruno Kvezic joins us. 3.2 million pounds in total, but like, why is it still saying bid? He's literally here. Is he already being loaned out or something? Are they trying to loan him? They're already trying to loan him. Yeah, not happening. But there you go. I think that is a good piece of business. He seems to have very high potential. I like the fact that he is more of a playmaker, could sit further up in the sort of Madon Sailor Samson type role, just in case Samson did end up kicking such a fuss that we had to let him go. I think Kvezic should be a nice replacement there. He's not on the same level by any means, but I think for 3.2, I'll take that. Good business. Yes, Napoli have now put a bid in for Juris too. I might up the... Can I even do that? It's annoying I can't offer them more money. I can only offer him more money, which I have just done, because I think that there's a player here. Mackenzie Mofosho is also in. I quite like his attributes, honestly. I think he's not a bad player by any means, and I think as a central back, he's actually okay. And for the price we paid, which is barely anything, he's got good value as well, so I like him. And he's a driven personality too, which means hopefully he'll at least reach some of that potential that he may or may not have. Well, it's transfer deadline day today. We've got a ton of deals that are still waiting to get over the line, including that one for Juris, which is the biggest one for me. But there's no way we don't get him. There's no way we get him over those Italian sides. I have offered him a higher squad status than they might have done, and probably more money than they might do as well, maybe. But I think that the prestige of those sides is surely going to win out. There's no way he signs for us. But you never know. You've got to put your hat in the ring, right? Boom. Mosquera's in as well. £400,000. I still think there's a player there that we've done. I think it's still good business in the grand scheme. I think he's a perfectionist as well, which you've got to be careful with perfectionists. They don't respond well to any kind of praise or criticism, I find. But nevertheless, I still think there's a decent player in him. And again, he will be a homegrown player. So there's just so many homegrown guys coming through at Suniuska. Even if it means that some of these guys won't see much of the football until after we leave this club in a couple of seasons, or even this season, I think we'll have set them up nicely for the future. Contreras is also in, the Argentinian, and he is a lot of things, honestly. He is still, again, more of a centre-back, honestly. He's got really good jumping reach. He feels like another one of those wide centre-back kind of guys. He's really not a full-back, but I still think he's an excellent player. I think we might have paid a bit more than I would have liked for him with the 3.4 million, but I still think his overall sell-on value could definitely be improving upon that, and I still think this squad has definitely got better. And technically, he could even cover the left side because he's good on both feet, and that's really, really important, but he's not quick. No way! Juris set to sign for Suniuska. That is outrageous. Holy God, he chose us. I hope he's good. I really hope he's good. But first, you can see there's a load more coming in. So firstly, Vodorek. I hope we can get all these guys done. 900k. Yeah, these are relatively cheap, actually. We've still got 3.3 million pounds. Again, it would cost us 900,000 pounds. So I realize that's quite a lot, but I like enough about him to the point where I still think he's a really solid player. He, again, actually could do a job in the middle, but he has got good crossing, so I'm going to try and make him a wing back. Multi Bodskov, Danish central midfielder, 16 years old. He really doesn't have any huge weaknesses in his game. Like, to be this good and well-rounded in terms of having nothing below a 6 at the age of 16 is very decent, to be fair. I'll try to get him loaned out. But the big one now, Juris, please be good. Oh my God. Oh my giddy aunt. Look at the state of this player. We just paid £750,000 for him. Yes, I know he's on 6k a week. And a squad player, which is what I had to give him in order to get him to join us. I can't believe that. That is ridiculous. Look at the state of this. He's 18 years old. If you ever wanted a bigger example of why I do the scouting the way that I do, this guy right here is he's the poster child for this. And also, poster child for paying attention to players' profiles. Good, sweet Jesus. 16 finishing, Physicals are actually solid for someone who's 18. Mentals are surprisingly good for someone who's 18. He's even got 16 passing. The beautiful thing about him is that he's also got a left foot, which is really key. He can play as the advanced forward. He can play in both roles in this tactic as well. I am a very happy man right now. That is outrageous. How the hell did he pick us up? My only theory is that we offered him squad player, which, let's be honest, he is. And the others were only offering him a little bit less, and maybe they were offering him less money. I took a risk there by offering him more money because we couldn't see him fully, but bloody hell, what a risk that has paid off to be. All right, I'm happy with this window, despite the Terry Cloty thing. Signings like this just make me so happy. Look at the state of him. Oh my God, look at who I just found. Ronald Doldan. I thought for some reason he was at Rosenborg. Look at the state of this player. If we could nick him out from underneath the others, he would surely be the guy for this role. He's not even one I found. This is a scout report player. 800 grand for him. I can afford him. We've got 1.8 million left, plus we've got a shitload of wage budget. Even if he wants moon money, which I suspect that he might do, I think he could be worth it as the ultimate replacement to Terry Cloty, honestly. We might have just found him on the final day of the window. Can I get it over the line quick enough is the question, though. They have locked in an absolutely abysmal release clause and a yearly wage rise clause, which I literally can't abide. He would be comfortably the most well-paid player at the club. The release clause is absolutely appalling, but he has cost us £800,000, so it would still make us money on it. But as a replacement to Terry Cloty, to bide us time, do we just go for it? Like, he's not fully scouted, but everything I see about this guy and the price that we're looking to pay makes me think that he would be astonishing. And we can register him because I could just unregister the other guy that we got and there's plenty of room. Oh my God, he accepted it straight away. He may not be perfect, but I still think he's a good player. Maybe we've overpaid for him. In fact, I think wages-wise we have overpaid. I assume it's because of his prestige in the club. He was at Paraguay International already. But I do think that at the very least, he does give us something a little bit extra there. He's a very good player. Not the most... Honestly, I still think that the fact is we only paid £800,000 for him. If it wasn't for the release clause, I honestly think this guy would be a worldie in terms of his value. But nevertheless, I still think he's an okay player. It's just the wages are very, very high. And I would have to be careful of that. But I still think... And he's good on both feet too, which really will help. Can play in the midfield for us as well if we absolutely needed him to. So I do like him. It's just, it could have been slightly better. But honestly, you got to take those risks sometimes. I still think this has been a very profitable window for us. Turns out that I can just register him straight up. We spent 15 million in this transfer window. This was a lot more than I was expecting to spend, but I think we've picked up some absolute beasts. I think we may have overpaid on him. In fact, that's a pretty much no-brainer there. But I think Juris and some of the other ones kind of make up for it. It's balanced out quite nicely. Maybe I had a rush of blood to the head there when I saw that guy. And you have to make those mistakes. I still think that he's a good player. I just don't know if he was... If I had more time and I would have scouted him further, I probably would have maybe decided against him. But when you're on the final day of the window and you see a guy that could be the next Terry Cloty and you think, oh, but then, hey, it happens, right? Man's now out for 2 to 4 weeks. Brilliant. Cheers, one roll. Well done, Ronald. We had a cup game against, well, I think a very lower league side. 6-0 trashing. 5 goals for Rafa Valencia. 1 for Giblitza as well. Lots of debuts in this one too, which was really nice. So we are through to the next round of the cup. Gives ourselves a little bit of a warm-up match before Barcelona in exactly 1 week's time, which is what we're going to be finishing with today. Don't know how many of the new guys are actually going to make it into that squad, of course, because of Champions League. But I still think we've done a decent amount of business, and we were never going to be able to get past Barca, let's be honest. But it's nice to see Rafa Valencia celebrating his new contract with 5 goals today, taking his tally to the season for 26 goals. Surely he can beat his tally from last year. Juris also made his debut here as well, because I felt like it. 7.6 performance for him. He was just linking up the play really nice. It's going to take him a little while to settle in, but it's just nice to see him in the team. Here we are. First proper game, I guess, of the actual episode, and the last as well to go with it. But yes, away at Barcelona at the Camp Nou, it's not going to be an easy ride for us. We know that. We know that we've not ridden our luck. I actually think we were quite good against Bayern in both games, but I do think that Barcelona is going to be a bit of a bridge too far for us at this point. The question is, of course, whether most of this squad is going to be able to work with that. So, who's going to play left back for us is the question. Hopefully Catalano's available. Yes, he is. Okay, good. So that's obviously not going to happen. We'll get Carlson in like that, and we'll have Madon Saylor behind them with Breda and Giblitza, Boyce, Turnison, Arboleda, Ido, Catalano and Makacek in goal. I think we need a hope and a prayer to get past Barcelona today. But notice that Valencia now, 25 goals this season. He's now the top scorer. It's nice to see him really take that throne a little bit more this year. But today it all rests on this. Christopher Svensson, actually, I'm guessing Swedish, Barcelona manager as well. So it's the battle of the Swedes, I suspect. Firing it in, and Ido will cut that out. If they're going to keep giving us the ball back, we can keep sliding them through. Valencia's already in. One touch. It's going to be a good block. Yeah, really good defending, actually. But already Barcelona providing huge gaps through the middle of the park. I wonder if that's our play. If we could get one good corner on the head of Christopher Carlson, it could really make a difference. And this could be the chance for us as it's put in the back post by Solomon Ido. Barca 0, Sunyaska 1. I don't know what to say. We've started this game brilliantly and we lead at the Camp Nou. What on earth? 30 minutes in and it's been all us. Turnison's header. Oh my days. That was nearly in. We've been totally on top here. Breda from a distance and it's off the crossbar. Arboleda. No way he saves that. That's incredible. I mean, it is right at him, in fairness. Great position from the keeper. I can't believe we're not 2-0 up here. 40 minutes, and the defenders have put in an absolutely blinding shift so far. Just denying Barca... Oh, that's poor from Madon Sailor. Denying Barca virtually everything they can here. Uriarte, and it's... Oh, my goodness, off the bar. Their first real opening for Barca. I mean, that is outrageous. It's not like we don't deserve the lead. Like, we've limited Barca to virtually no chances. The defence has been utterly superb, despite Catalano's poor rating, which is unfortunately just a sign of the times. But we do lead, and we look good going forward. We're having little openings. Uriarte from distance. He's been the one guy really performing for Barca, and that's a great save from Makacek to tip that one over. Pressure is starting to build from Barca in the second half. I think they really are trying to throw more bodies forward now, and we're just starting to feel the pressure a little bit more as the ball is well blocked there, and it's going to go out of play. They have a player called Pete. Just... This is him, Peter Diaz Celestino, striker he's a Brazilian international striker, but his name is Pete. I just love the idea of a Brazilian bloke called Pete, because Catalano is getting run ragged, mostly by Uriarte. Tosetzi's through here. We need a big save from Makacek, or a big block, and we get that. Pete's shot is well blocked as well, and a third block there from Randy Boyce. We are throwing bodies in the way of this. This would be the historic victory, though. Over the top of Tosetzi again. We need a block, and we get another block. It's a lot of pressure, though. Tosetzi, this is a great angle for him, and oh, he can't get there. Tosetzi makes it 1-1 at the Camp Nou. Makacek couldn't get around it. Barca have been much better in the second half. We've just not quite been able to hang on and get some creativity. But I think they really are starting to go through the gears a little bit now, building up that pressure on us. We just can't get near him currently. It's a good ball inside as well. Kukuchka's been their main man in the second half. We need a big save. Oh, he's gone too wide. Pulls it back across. Pete, though! Oh, come on. Pete with the goal, and it is Barca 2, Sunioska 1, and they've turned it around in the space of 2 minutes. Unless this header finds Carlson, although I tell you what, there's a huge mismatch at the near post. If he gets this corner right, Canalets, Carlson's going to get a clear header. And he's got it! It's off the bar! Ido again does well, but that is awful. That is so awful, and it could end up costing us potentially even the tie here, and it does. Kukuchka makes it 3-1. I don't know. Why is he doing a scissor kick clearance blindly into the middle of the pitch? Like, why? What is the purpose of that when he could just bring that under control and pass it to his keeper? I think statistically we could honestly count ourselves a little bit unlucky to be 3-1 down here as Carlson's header is off the base of the post now. Oh, we shouldn't be 3-1 down. Well, with a few seconds to go, it's looking like Barca 3, Sunioska 1. I think 3-1 is harsh on the lads. I think they did better than 3-1, honestly, and there were some chances in that game for us that should have been converted. I think we may have only had the 2 shots on target. They just scored 3 goals in 6 minutes, and just some of the way we gave them chances there was disappointing. You could see the second half, they really stepped it up, and we didn't have as much, but I still think 3-1 is quite a harsh result for us there, really, but what can you do? I think if we'd gone back home at 2-1 or even 1-1, that would have been amazing. Maybe there'd been a hope for us, but we're going to need some mammoth performance in the second leg to make anything of this. But I'm still very proud of the guys. They gave it a go. Honestly, right there, they did a hell of a lot better than I was expecting them to do, to even take the lead in that match and still be in it with a chance in the second leg if we can pull off another miracle home performance. And you know how good we can be at home in Europe, but I just think that 2 goals of a deficit is a bit too much for us. But you never know. We're going to find out next time, I suppose. So, wait, there's a second leg to that? Oh my days. We have to play a second leg of the quarterfinal in the cup because, you know, 6-0's not enough. We'll just rotate for that, I suppose. Anyway, if you have enjoyed this episode, and I hope you have, we have done a lot today, both in outs and also especially in ins, like a lot of ins. I'm so happy with the Juris signing. That's one of my favorite signings in ages. Yeah, if you have enjoyed it, drop a like. That'd be gorgeous. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. That'd be sick too. I stream on Twitch Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, so go follow there too. And I'll see you guys very soon for some more Nordic Nomads. Hold your gun. Capybara. Bye-bye.